Welcome to the newest edition of Sports Loop Podcast. Here I'm joined with my father, Rick, and it's going to be a little different today. He's going to be asking me some questions. So, Rick, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Luke. How are you?
Where are we sitting right now?
Luke, we are in a condo, townhome, I don't know what it is, in Destin, Florida. It is the 14th of March, 2018.
2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Luke, if you don't mind, let me get things started here by... Luke, tell me about this podcast stuff. How did you get into this, or what caused you to fall into this, or how did this happen?
Well, let's start back when I first started listening to podcasts. When I worked in between my junior and senior year. Might have been between sophomore and junior. I worked at a library in Brookings over the summer, and we got to listen to music. And I got to the point where I'm kind of getting bored of music. I want to listen to something else. And I found out I've heard people talk about podcasts, and I'm like, I think I'm going to check this out. The first one I ever listened to was Joyce Meyer, a Joyce Meyer podcast. And I was like, this is kind of good. Then I don't know how, I just kind of found more things to listen to. So now I mostly listen to church sermons and other Christian stuff. I'm getting into a lot of baseball stuff. And for me, actually starting the podcast, it was I decided to challenge myself 100 days of content, a piece of content every day, whether it was a video, a blog, or a podcast. And so I forced myself, I'm going to teach myself or figure out how to actually make a podcast and do it. And Jake was the guinea pig, and we did it for 20 minutes, just talked about whatever, and it worked. And I got to do grandma, both my grandma's mom. I got to interview a lot of cool people, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. I want to keep doing this. I would love to one day make money off of this somehow. I would have to put a lot more work, a lot more effort, and actually do it. But it's always something that if I wanted to, I could push myself to go and do.
You said it's really cool and you get some cool stuff. What is it that makes it cool? What does it for you?
Well, one of my favorite ones with my buddy Travis. Buddy Travis from high school. I also interviewed Travis Burrow, my cousin-in-law. When we got to talk about all the sports we played when we were younger and just to relive all those memories. And then when I talked to you, Mom, and also Barry, and then anyone that was older than me that didn't know their entire story, just to hear their story was so cool. And I think it's going to be cool when they are old and when they eventually pass on, that their grandkids, their great, whatever it is, that it's going to be them. They can listen to them talk about some stories. And I thought that was pretty cool to be able to do that.
I totally agree. Next question. Let's go back to when you were a young tyke. Let the viewers know a little bit about your family, how many siblings, kind of that whole makeup of the family, and talk about what it was like growing up.
Mm-hmm. Well, normal mom and dad. I have an older sister by 2 years and a younger brother 2 years. As a middle child, they always say that they were the least loved, and I did not feel it at all. I don't think one child was loved more or less than the other one. Growing up, I loved my childhood. Maybe sometimes I didn't like it or whatever, but looking back, it was all for the benefit. I wouldn't have wanted any other way, having an older sister to kind of be another mom, and having a younger brother to always have someone to play with.
Growing up, obviously, you kids were only 2 years apart. What do you remember about your early years when Jake was maybe a baby or whatever? Do you have any memories of that time in your life?
Not necessarily when he was a baby. I really can't think of anything. I just think when we were younger, we'd play football in the living room, and you'd be on your knees and be Jake and me versus you, and we would run around, and I remember watching the old videos. You'd let us score, and I remember thinking, "Oh my God, I'm actually better than him." I'm running through him. I'm running him over. And I thought, "Oh my God, I'm so good." But then realizing that, you were just playing along.
I might have faked it a little.
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Also, too, growing up, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you were part of the construction of one of our own houses, but then you also helped out on a spec house, and then you might have done a little bit of work on Grandma and Grandpa's house. Do you remember any of that construction time?
I'm trying to think. Smith, I don't think I did anything. I remember playing in the stuff, and I remember playing in the dirt next to it. Fox or Grandma and Grandpa, I don't think I helped much. I think I helped a little bit. The spec house. Yeah, the spec house helped out a lot. I remember one time I remember finishing the floor, and Grandpa Daryl kept saying, "Oh, we finally got a dance floor. We finally got a dance floor." I'm like, that. Just thinking, oh, that was actually really cool. And I also remember one time I had to get your compressor out of the back of the truck, and I like fell out of the truck and I fell on my wrist, and I probably made it worse than it actually was because I didn't want to work anymore. But then yeah, for the Fox Hollow House, I remember helping out a lot.
So you didn't like doing that work?
It's one of those like doing that. I'm like, no, I didn't want to. Like, why would I want to? I was bored. I'd rather play inside, play video games, and go play sports. Looking back, it's one of those like I learned a lot. I'm nowhere near I can build a house now, but like I think it was good, and I have a lot of memories of like the one memory that sticks out when Jake and I, when you were the attic in the Fox Hollow House,
the insulation,
we had the big insulator like
the
blocks.
Hopper,
You had to break it up and put in the thing. And Jake and I, we were shooting baskets. And it was right next to the stairs, and the stairs were just covered in this extra insulation. I remember you coming back down, and you were not happy.
I will never forget that day either. Let's talk about your mom. Your mom, her name is Allison, or everybody knows her by Allie. Tell the viewers or the listeners, what is it that? Just explain who your mom is and what's her strength. Just let them get an idea about your mother.
I feel like the best thing about Mom is she just loved us so much, and she would. I feel like that it was never like you guys go do whatever. I'm gonna do my own thing. And she was always with us and always helping us, whether it was actually just playing or like actually learning and doing a craft, something like that. Like she was just always there. And it sounds like a dumb answer, but that's the way it was. And I was extremely blessed. I can say about you too, but with my mom and how she raised us.
What characteristics stand out the most about your mother?
Always loving, always funny, always joking. And when it came to any sort of competition, when I was younger it was different, but when I was older, mom doesn't want to lose ever. And I mean that's the same with both of my parents. None of them want to lose.
But the one of her many unique things is her competitive drive to always win.
Yeah.
However, what does she always have on her face when she's playing?
What do you mean, sweat?
No.
A smile.
A smile.
So she's always smiling. She was having fun. Like she'll try to win, but she'll make it. She also will realize, especially if it's just for fun, like the winning actually doesn't matter. It's about having fun. People are enjoying themselves.
Your mom. She's very proud of you. She's very proud of all of her children. But whenever I think of you, well, if I think of your mom and I think of which one of my children is probably the most like mom,
Mm-hmm.
You come to mind.
Why is that?
Who's doing the interviewing here?
I just want to see what you said.
It's because of the joyfulness. Casey and Jake are both joyful and happy too, but you've kind of got that mom spirit. For example, last night, what did we do last night?
We went out celebrating some 21st birthdays.
Okay, when you say we, who else we?
Like my entire family. Yeah. Like your siblings and all their kids and all the ones that were of age.
I suppose we should explain to the listeners, we're in Florida for what reason?
It is my grandma's 80th birthday. It was on Monday.
And who's grandma?
Grandma's the interviewer's mother.
Yeah, so my mom, it's her 80th birthday, and how many people are here?
34, I think. Yeah.
Of how many total people are within this family?
36. Yeah. Casey, Nathan, and Baby Bach are... Or Baby Bach's not out yet, but Baby Bach are still in Owatonna because she's due anytime now.
Yeah. Okay, so we, not 100% of us, because there's some minors in the group, obviously, but we go to, where do we go?
I can't remember what it's called. It's dueling piano.
Yep.
Something like that.
And obviously at the piano bar, they're playing music, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who was leading the charge, singing the songs and dancing?
Mom was a lot.
Yes. And that's to me what you remind me of too, because you were right there with her. Mm-hmm. And obviously Courtney. Courtney is another special person, mm-hmm. And maybe you need to tell the listeners about Courtney.
So Courtney, we are considered the twins in the family. Obviously, since we're cousins, we're not actually twins, but we were born same day, same year, same hospital. Not all spiel. She was in the morning, I was born in the afternoon. And it's just been really, and you could ask anyone in the family, she's a sister in our family. She would always come up in the summer, and we'd always get to spend time with her. Always, whenever it was, we always hung out and we just spent a lot of time together. And she's just energetic, always the life of the party, always getting people going, that kind of stuff. It's just been really cool to be able to share a birthday with her too, just to kind of have that extra little bond with her.
Yeah. And so last night it was Allie, Courtney. You obviously were a big part. Jake was a big part of the activities, and everybody was participating.
Yeah.
And that to me is the good signature of this family.
Yeah.
We all get together. We all enjoy our time together, and more importantly, we enjoy our time together as a family.
And I feel like it's one of those things. Even if we weren't doing anything, like I mean, the past few days we've been sitting around playing cards and talking. That's great.
Yep.
I love that.
Okay, that's good about your family and stuff. Now let's talk about you. Tell us just briefly, kind of give us an overview of your childhood, what it was like being a kid, what you liked, what you didn't like. Talk about a little bit about school.
Mm-hmm. Well, growing up, like I said, I thought I had a great childhood. Heavily involved in sports, not just because my mom and dad were collegiate athletes. They passed it down onto us, and we played a lot, whether we wanted to. Whether we wanted to or not. I mean, I played sports all the way through high school, then I stopped my sophomore year because I was puny and little. But other than sports, I like to read. I like to play video games. I build Legos a lot. We used to play Sandlot. Listen to my Travis Hill Said podcast. We talked about Sandlot a lot. Did that a lot. School, I liked school because I was pretty good at it, and it's one of those I didn't have to study much to do well. Which my joke is that if you do the exact same studying in college as in high school gets you 3.6, college gets you 2.7.
You're like your father. Okay, then after high school, what did you do?
I took my talents to South Dakota State.
Why did you choose to become the dreaded Jackrabbit?
That's a funny story, because Mom just like, so where do you want to go? And I'm like, well, I don't know where I want to go. I went on when Casey went on her visit to Northwestern in St. Paul and then also Winona, I went along, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's whatever. I really like Northwestern. I don't know why. I didn't really like Winona. I don't know why. It just wasn't whatever. A little bit later, Yumi went on a trip to Eau Claire. Once again, nothing bad about it. I'm just thinking, whatever. And maybe it was just my mindset of whatever. And then I got to like my junior year. Was it my junior or senior year? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Then Mom's like, okay, let's do something. I'm like, and then I'm like, I don't know where I want to go. She's like, I'll get a list. I'll look some up. Like she's doing this for me, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever. And then she goes through the list, the ones I can remember. St. Cloud. I'm like, yeah, I'll check that one out. I like hockey, and I wanted to check out their hockey team because they have a good one. I also didn't want to go really big because I just didn't want to. And it's like, and then there's also there's South Dakota State, which is in Brookings. I'm like, okay, I'll check that out. And then there's South Dakota, which I want to know why she said this, but she's like, but I hear that the University of South Dakota is just kind of gross. It's just not as nice. Like I don't know what it was about that, but now obviously I have that opinion that I didn't go there. So we took a trip during MEA on that Thursday. We went to St. Cloud, checked it out. It was okay. I like the hockey, but it was just kind of big too. Then went to South Dakota. I'm like, you know what? This seems like a good.
You mean South Dakota State?
South Dakota State, yeah. Well, you know, that sounds like a good fit. I think I'll apply here. Applied there, got in. That was literally the only school I applied to, and I got in. So.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
I need to clarify for the listeners why I call it the dreaded Jackrabbits. Luke's mother and I played for the University of Nebraska Omaha Mavericks, and South Dakota State was in our conference at the time. And neither one of us enjoyed playing against the Jackrabbits. So. Now, your college years. You got involved in a fraternity.
Yep.
Tell me about that. Tell me how that all happened. And then tell me the impact that it's had on your life.
So, freshman year, I met Andy. He was across the hall from me.
Andy have a last name?
Andy Ott.
Okay.
Became good friends really quick because we just didn't really know anyone else. He really wanted to, or I found out later, he wanted to join right away, and we ended up going to a recruiting event for one of the other fraternities, not SAE. Went to it. I was just like, whatever. And knowing all the things that, hearing all these bad things about fraternities, like, no, I'm not gonna. Andy decided not to. I don't know if it's because me or what his reasoning was, but he decided not to. So nothing happened freshman year. Sophomore year, we come back. Andy's like, yo, we really need to check out a fraternity. And at this time, because we weren't roommates, his neighbor across the hall, Ryan Teason, became friends. And we're like, we should go check out one. We finally then check out. Actually, then it was my friend Allison. She was in AZD. Friends with Andy said, "Hey, go rush something," and she said, "Hey, SAE is pretty cool. Do them." We go check out SAE. My first one I went to was I think I might have told you this. It was a football game. Like we played football. They sucked. They were bad. I'm like, why would I want to be on this? I'm like, no, this is dumb. And then the next day was like, I said this story too, where they said, oh yeah, come by, we'll have some food, and then we'll play whatever. There was no food there. That's the reason why I went, just to get a free meal out of it. And then I kind of meet some of the guys, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. And then just kind of stuck with it there, and then eventually joined my sophomore year, the fall semester, and then I finally initiated. It was like January, February of that next school year. The impact, it definitely, because, well, first I was planning on transferring to Winona because I didn't have any friends. I had Andy, but there's rumor was Andy was going to go somewhere. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going to go. I was a little worried that my first semester I wasn't going to know anyone. This, hands down, I made my lifelong friends right here. Like I've talked about before too. I'm not very, very good friends with any of my high school buddies. I'm very close with all my SAE buddies, Jacob, Joe, Teason, and Andy for sure, and then some other young guys. But gave me lifelong friends, and also I learned how to, like, it was good to have a certain cause that we all were pushing for, other than my studies, not just to look on a resume, but like just to give you some experience and how to work as one unit kind of thing.
Okay, so college, you ended up graduating in December of 2014. But prior to graduation, you met this pretty little gal. Let's talk about this gal.
Mm-hmm. So that was...
How'd you meet her? Kind of give us that. First of all, let's name her.
Taylor Anderson, now Majerus, because I married her. So that would have been the fall of 13. Which even before that, I was friends with Megan. That's her sister, older sister, because she was in AZD. I was in SA. We just knew each other from Greek life. And then, so I'm a senior. Taylor's a freshman. Hanging out with Megan and Allison because they were good friends. Taylor got brought along too, just because she, needed to make friends. We would have lunch once a week as a group together, and I'm like, oh, she's kind of cute. And when I started my senior year, I was dating someone else. I'm like, oh, she's kind of cute, but I was being a good boyfriend at the time. Okay, yeah, whatever. I wasn't going to, do anything. Later, a breakup with the old one, and then, I had formal coming up, and I spent more time with Taylor, not like any one-on-one, just group. I'm like, she's kind of cool, she's funny, whatever. Then I'm like, oh, formal's coming up, and I get this idea, maybe what if I invited her? Because I really wanted to invite someone just to make it more fun, but whatever. But kept going through my mind of, I feel like it'd be weird for a freshman or a senior to ask a freshman. I think it'd be weird, and I kept telling her, oh, it's fine because it's college. If it was high school, that'd be weird, but not college. It's fine because she's whatever. So I text my good friend Allison and say, Allison, tell me if I'm crazy here. I think I might invite Taylor to formal. It'd be just as friends, whatever. She said, oh yeah, that'd be good. I don't know why for some reason she said you should just message Megan first, just make sure it's okay. And I'm like, I guess I can do that. I send it to Megan. And Megan, hey, would you be willing, or not would you be willing, do you think it'd be a good idea to ask Taylor? She's like, yeah, I think that'd be great. I think it'd be good just for you two to have fun and whatever. And I'm once again, this is just be friends. So then I text those two people. And after that, I texted Taylor. So I text to ask
via
her.
text.
But that's the other thing too. I didn't have time to do it in person because we were going somewhere in fraternity. Like we were leaving right to class at any time. Also, the reason why I got Taylor as the idea, I tweeted out something and she tweeted me back because she got mad at me that I skipped the group lunch or whatever. So she knew that I was gone. She was like, hey, what are you doing, kind of thing. I don't think she meant anything from that, but it's just being sassy, whatever. So that's where I got the idea. Allison asked Megan. They both said, yeah, you should go ahead and do it. So then I texted Taylor. She said, yeah, sure, I'd love to. And then I remember, so it was a fraternity thing. We went up to Minneapolis. I got to meet up with Mike. So that was actually kind of fun. And I wanted to text her because I'm like, oh, she's kind of cute. I want to get to know her because I barely know her. I just, we were kind of became friends, but didn't know much about each other. Like, I want a reason to text her, but I didn't want to go straight up just text her out of the blue. So you can't see this. I drunk texted her like at 2 a.m. when I came back because had a few drinks with Mike Schwab and the boys. And I don't remember what I said. I just said one thing. She didn't respond. I'm like, okay, good. She's not responding. Because then the drive home, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry for texting you. I'm sorry. Hopefully it wasn't anything too embarrassing. Knowing I knew what I was doing. Like I knew that it wasn't anything bad. I was just a little. I don't even remember what it said. She's like, oh no, you're fine. So like the whole way home, we texted to talk. And then the whole week, we texted and talked in Snapchat, whatever. Went to formal. Formal was fine. It was just kind of weird because we just didn't know what was going to happen of this. We just kind of, but then we saw each other a few more times after that, and so on and so forth. And then,
Okay, so then you had the big day. You married her on June
17th.
2017.
Yep.
So you've been married now, 7, 8 months, something like that?
Yep.
Tell me about your first 8 months together.
First 8 months. It has been, the first 2 were interesting because we lived with her sister in her house in Sioux Falls, knowing that we were going to be moving to Iowa City shortly. First 2 months were fine, but it became really special once we were on our own. Learning a lot. It's one of those that like you hear some things about like, oh, I would never do that in my marriage, and like, oh, I understand why someone would do this. But I love it. It's great, and it's just being able to support her for everything I can do.
Tell me what is Taylor? I mean,
what is
I know her, and obviously I love her like she's my daughter. But when you look at Taylor, tell me those things that just blow you away about your wife.
How driven she is, like how hard she works for her schoolwork and her classes, and to see that also that passion towards me and how much she loves me, it just makes me happy. We'll be making dinner and she'll just go and pinch my butt or something like that, or we'll be playing some music and she'll sing along, and it's ridiculous the way she's singing, and it just makes me love her even more.
I as a parent, obviously I'm watching you, and I love the way that you love each other.
Mm-hmm.
You have the same characteristics in how you love one another. You're always in that playful kind of mood,
mm-hmm.
and stuff, and I see some of that with myself and your mother. Obviously, we're in that mood too. But I love to watch that with you and your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're coming to the end here, but short term here, what do you see the future of Luke Majerus? What do you see happening in the next few years or few months or whatever?
That's a great question, and honestly, I'm not quite sure.
Well, obviously, you're tied to Iowa City until she graduates.
Yes. Taylor will hopefully, when the plan is that she graduates, and it'll be 3 years from this, like May or June or something like that. So we'll be in Iowa City for then, and then it's really going to be wherever she gets a job. This sounds like some good sources to come back to Sioux Falls. But, I mean, we aren't completely set on that. I mean, but if that's the only place we can get a job, we'll go there. And I'm not saying that Sioux Falls would be a bad place to go. But, yeah, well, it'll be pretty much wherever, taking get a job. And I am okay with not being the main breadwinner or, like, the main support, as in financially.
Mm-hmm. Okay, last question. When you always end your podcast, you always ask for some advice. And so my question to you is, if you're talking to a college senior, maybe,
mm-hmm.
Thinking about getting ready to graduate, and now you're going out into this big bad world, what advice do you give young people?
I'm trying to think of actual like professional advice, because my first thing to go to is like it's what your thing, all about your choices, and it's all about your attitude. If you make good choices and you have a positive attitude on things, life will be a lot easier. It may not be easier like financially, but it'll just be easier to be happy and to sleep well at night.
Very good. Thank you, Luke. We appreciate the time.
Thanks, Rick.